Hello and welcome to this lesson in Clone My Business. Today we're going to talk about creating the blueprint for your agency, and we're going to talk about doing some of the mental work. So we're going to talk about the secret to going from employee to business owner mindset. So from $50,000 a year to $50,000 a month. And yes, that is a real thing. We're going to talk about deciding how much you want to make and the vision and motivation and goals that you need to support that. And we're going to talk about how to conquer the fear of getting started. Fear is a very real thing in this world, and especially when you're starting your own business, especially if this is your first business or you're trying to get this going again, we'll talk about how to overcome that. So we're going to quickly go over some of the key mental steps that you need to do in order to get your agency launched. And if you're tempted to skip over this because I said mental work, don't, because this is the blueprint for your business. Before you try to do anything, you've got to create it mentally before you create it physically. So more important, basically what I'm getting at is that this is the mental work that you need to do to remember why you're doing all the physical work, the end outcome. So in the next lesson, I'm going to give you the exact agency framework that I think is best, right now and for the foreseeable future. But before we get to that, we need to build your agency mentally first. So many people are tempted to skip this part, but when they get busy, they fail. Maybe they didn't set effective goals, or maybe they're still thinking like an employee and not a business owner. Whatever the case may be, and that whole 9 out of 10 businesses fail thing, that's usually the case, in my opinion, because people didn't lay the mental foundation first. And I know right now I haven't even moved beyond the first slide. I'm beating this to death, but this is because where most people fail. They try and set up a business and they try and do it in the physical world, but they're not ready mentally. So right now I'm pleading with you, don't do that. Do the steps in this lesson and set yourself up for success. So I want to talk about the secret from going to from employee, the secret to going from employee to business owner mindset from $50K a year to $50,000 a month. And this is something, I like this little picture. I like that cat right there. So we're going to talk about working hard to be lazy. So the entire goal of this business is to work super hard to then have the freedom to do whatever you want to do. So I learned this from an old boss of mine. So he used to say that he was super successful because he was super lazy. And what he meant was he would find the fastest, most effective ways of getting results so that he could go back to being lazy. In other words, you're going to work super hard so that you can do whatever you want to do, even if that means being a couch potato or playing video games all day. And in fact, that's what he did. I would walk in his office and catch him playing video games. And I thought, well, here's the CEO of this big company. If that's what he wants to do, that's fine. But it's because he worked super hard to be lazy. So there's a quote floating around online that goes something like, "You must be willing to work like most people won't so that you can spend the rest of your life like most people can't." And if you're like most people, you've probably spent much of your life working as an employee. You're now going to have to make a big mindset shift from being an employee to becoming a business owner. So trust me, an employee mindset is much different than a business owner mindset. For example, as an employee, your big concern is doing enough work to make it to your next paycheck. But as a business owner, you're thinking about everything like getting new clients, making sure production happens, invoicing, and more. Oh, and also getting a paycheck too. And yes, that does happen to be a picture of my wife. We were on the other side of the island in Cozumel. It was a nice, calm day, and that's like one of her favorite places in the world. So, your job. The 3 most important jobs that you have as a business owner are: number 1, revenue; number 2, systems; and number 3, team. So the goal here is to fast track you from the employee mindset to owner mindset so that you can scale to freedom faster. And there are 2 primary concepts to remember. Number 1, first, is your paycheck. You are in charge of your paycheck. Now, I know that seems kind of obvious, but coming from an employee mindset where you're just used to getting paid every 2 weeks or whatever it is, But as a business owner, there's no one out there to give you a paycheck. It's all up to you. The good news to that is that the sky's the limit. Hustle and you get paid. Hustle some more and you get paid some more. It's pretty simple. You get to make yourself more rich by working smart and working hard. And then the second one is, the second concept that you need to remember is that you're not going to do all of the work. That's the way an employee thinks. But instead of thinking, oh, I've got all this work I've got to get done today, you're going to think, who can I find to get this done today? And this might seem like another obvious concept, but you'd be surprised at how tempting it is just to do everything yourself. But this is not how a business owner grows a business. Instead, they put together a team to do the majority of the work for them. And in fact, we're going to talk about how you'll do all of this in detail in just, a couple of courses from now, a couple of lessons from now. But don't get me wrong, there's going to be plenty of work for you to do, but most of it is going to be spent in driving more revenue. Your team and your software is going to take care of most of the client work. And if you can embrace these two concepts alone, you're going to be light years ahead of most other budding entrepreneurs. You're going to need this shift in mindset in order to create your vision and set your goals. So I kind of want to just quickly go over this. This is kind of the traditional route that a lot of people take. So they go from being an employee to a freelancer mode to finally business owner. So what I'm hoping for you is that you need to think bigger. Like really, in my first year, I had big goals, but I didn't take them too seriously. I was busy. I was in that mental transition from employee to freelancer. And then I was getting to business owner, but it didn't quite get there till like the end of my first year. And I recognize that for many, like me, it's a natural transition, and that's fine. And many of us, we've just been so indoctrinated that a job is the only way to make money. Plus, it's hard to think that we could actually make as much money as we want to, like that it's all up to our own effort and hustle. So again, my goal is for you to shortcut your way to success. So I want to help you overcome, get out of the employee mindset, get out of the freelancer mindset, and jump right into the business owner mindset. And that's what the entire rest of this course is for. So I've got 2 keys for you. Number 1, think bigger. Really, don't just think, oh, I want to make $50,000 this year, but instead, I want to make $500,000 this year. $50,000 may be enough to help you really, replace your job, and that's a great starting point, but don't settle for that. And you may or may not hit the goal, but I'm willing to bet you that you'll make more than just $50,000. If you're aiming higher, you'll reach higher, right? So it's better to aim high. And number 2, don't do the work yourself. I know it's tempting to do all the work yourself, especially if you know how to do the work. It mostly comes from a lack mindset, where you're trying to keep all the money yourself. But take it from me, don't do it. It will keep you stuck in freelance mode, and you'll never make the switch to business owner. So remember, revenue, systems, and a team. So from day one, you need to focus on driving new business, building a system, which we'll break down as really just a fancy checklist and some software, and then a team, people to do the work for you. So fortunately, the rest of this course is exactly all of that. So now we need to decide, how much do you want to make? So first question is, what's your motivation, right? With the business owner mindset in place, you need to understand your true motivation and create your vision. So first ask yourself, just like an actor, right? What's your motivation? Why did you even buy this course? Think about it. What prompted you to pull out your credit card and buy this course? I know it wasn't my sales video because I'm a dork, and I don't think I can put together a very good sales video. So there was something about this. There was something that you believed in yourself that maybe this you could use as a tool to do that. So think about why you even bought this course. Chances are you're looking to start a business that will give you the income to do whatever it is you want to do. Do you see yourself lying on a tropical beach? Do you see yourself traveling around Europe or Asia? Do you see yourself walking out of your job with your head held high, saying goodbye to all your old workmates? Do you see yourself waking up whenever you want and doing whatever you want to do? Whatever that is. So think about what you really want. And then what you can do is complete this sentence. Just think, I want to make, now fill in the dollar amount. Maybe it's $50,000, an additional $50,000, or maybe it's $50,000 a month, so that I can, and then fill in your personally motivating thing. Maybe it's, I want to make $50,000 a month so that I can pay off my mortgage quickly and then travel around Europe for 2 years, or buy a catamaran and sail around the world. Whatever that is, this is your why statement. And when it gets tough, and it's going to get tough, you'll think back to this and you'll know exactly why it is that you need to keep pushing forward. So, how much? Now you need to think in terms of your business. How much money do you want to make? How much money do you really need to make? And those are two really different questions. The first is more vain, and it's fun to answer, right? But the second is much more important. For example, let's say you wanted to live in a beautiful house on a beach in Mexico. Let's also say that you want to have your kids in private school, and you want to have a maid, you want to eat out almost every day, you want to go scuba diving a lot, and do a bunch of stuff like that. How much do you really need for that? So again, those are two different questions. How much do you want? How much do you need? And yes, that is a picture of tacos al pastor with a Coca Mexicana, like a Mexican Coke, in a bottle, nice and cold, and with cane sugar, and it's super good. And you squeeze the lemon right on top of those tacos, and it's one of the best things in the world. It's why we lived in Mexico for 5.5 years of our life. And at the time of this recording right now, my wife is literally in Mexico on a girls' trip with all her friends. So let's talk about your vision. What do you want your life to look like? Remember, you've got to think like a business owner here. You want to make as much as you can while working on your business in a really smart and leveraged ways. So think very carefully about your vision right now. Again, what do you want your life to look like? Where is it? Who's with you? And what you want to do is get specific with how much you think you'll need to achieve that. Now, I'm talking about, you could set your goals for $50,000 a month, but maybe you don't need that. Maybe you just need $10,000 a month, and that's totally fine. So think carefully about this number, because we're going to need this as you make your goals. And how much you make is up to you, and how much you're involved is up to you. So for me personally, my own involvement has, waxed and waned over the years of my business. Like I mentioned previously, whenever we're in Europe for the summer, or home in Southern California for the summers, I hardly worked at all. So for you just have to decide for yourself. But the key is to write it out, right? So write it out or type it out. This is your motivation. So why are you interested in starting this business? Answer with something more specific than to have more money. You got to get more specific, and you cannot skip this mental work. It's a big deal. Let's say now, let's go ahead and look at your goals, right? So with your vision more or less in place, you've got to set some concrete goals. And this is actually pretty easy. I mean, how much do you want to make on a monthly basis? And then you could break that down to your first 3 months, and then the next 3 months, and the following 6 months, and so on. So break it down as much as you need to keep yourself motivated. So, for example, let's say that you have the goal of making $100,000 in your very first year. You know that's not all going to happen at once. It's not going to happen in your very first month. You've got to hustle. You've got to lay some groundwork first. You've got to talk to business owners. So you make the goal of, let's say, $5,000 in your first month. Then you make another goal of $5,000 in your second month. And then if you can get that number up to $10,000 in the following months, you can easily reach your goal in your first year. So the key then is to make a business goal and a personal goal. Have two of them. So you're going to talk about basically your gross revenue and then your net income from that. So how much your business makes, and then how much do you personally take home. So, and again, that's personal. It's up to you. But the key is then to be realistic and be specific, both of those together. And then what you want to do, don't get bogged down in the long-term goals right now, but the goal of this is to get you up and running fast. So make your first month goal, make your second month goal, and then your annual goal. And then do this for both you and the business. Like I said, your gross income and then your net income, or your gross revenue and then your net income. Write it out, put it on a Post-it note, put it on your wall, put it on your desk, put it in your bathroom mirror. And you're going to use this as in part of your business plan that we're going to talk about in just a couple of lessons, okay? But we need this goal. You got to get specific. So actually, that's the next thing I want to talk about, getting specific. By having specific goals, this is going to keep you motivated during the month. Like if you have a general goal of, I just want to make more money, you might get a client or two, but you'll be leaving a lot on the table. You've really got to get specific. Ideally, the number is just beyond what you think you can do. So this will put, faith into work for you, or whatever you want to call it. But you need a little bit of faith, something that you can draw on to help you get to the next level. So as you do this, doors are going to open for you. Random people will just call you. Your own marketing and advertising efforts will improve. Your sales calls will be more effective, and you'll see that more clients will just flow your way. I know I don't mean it to sound like too life coachy or woo-woo, but it's true. It's true that when your intention is clear and you're working hard, everything just lines up to help you reach your goal. So many times in my own business, my wife and I have had, we've discussed growing it to the next level. And then what we do is simple. We think with a dollar amount and a date that we would like to have it happen by. And then we write that on a piece of paper, and then we put it somewhere obvious. Usually for us, it's the bathroom mirror. And so, let's say, for example, that the goal is to increase our revenue by an extra $2,000 a month. So then what I do is I hustle, I make some phone calls, I send some follow-up emails with old prospects, I ask current clients for referrals, I try and run better ads, and so on. And it never fails. When you make your intentions crystal clear and then get to work, you do achieve your goals. So it may not be immediate, but it does happen. And notice I didn't say it was all mental. You can't just sit on the couch and just mentally will your way to success. You do need to hustle. So you got to get clear on your goals and then get busy making them happen. So you got to do the mental side and the physical side. And now for the final part of this lesson that I wanted to talk about is how to conquer the fear of getting started. So it can be intimidating at the beginning to know what to do, who to talk to, what offers to sell, and so on. When this happens, it's super easy to become fearful. And fear causes inactivity, and that causes stress. And trust me, I know from experience. I also know from experience just what to do to overcome that. You just have to move faster than your fear. So this is just something that's going to happen. There's going to be a little voice saying, oh, you can't do this, John or Sally or whatever your name is. I'm so sorry. But pretend I'm saying your name. You can't do this. Like, who are you to build a business? You don't even know what you're doing. What you have to do is just take a time out. Ignore that voice. And like I said, just move faster than that little voice can keep up. And here are some steps that you can take. Number one, start by going through this entire course. Go through every lesson and do every step. Then number two, use the handy course checklist. So print it out. I used to have this huge fancy checklist that was all pretty. It was in a PDF and it was all designed all really pretty. And then I realized I printed it out one time and I realized I just used up half of my printer ink. So I made it a very printer friendly checklist. Okay. So print it out, check off every one as fast as you can. And then number three, push hard to get your first client. This will usually silence any fear once you see your first payment. Once you see that money come in, your belief is going to skyrocket. You're going to be so excited. You're going to hurry and talk to the next client and the next and the next. You get addicted to it. So number four, push hard to get your next 3 clients. And then number 5, if you do have any doubts or questions, post them in the discussion area because you're probably not alone. And by the way, if it's something that you feel is a little bit more personal and you don't feel like posting them in the discussion area, just email me. Let me know. I am here to help you. I want to make sure that this course is a tool for you. So please send those to me and I will do my best to help you. And remember, the entire goal of this course is to have you push hard to get your business set up and with your first client in 14 days. Naturally, if you need a little bit more time, that's fine. That's why I say 30 days, because that's just over double the time. But you should still aim to be profitable in under 30 days. And again, if you need any help with the details, just ask me. Remember though, all of this stuff is so important. Do not overlook the mental work. It is the groundwork. It is the blueprint for everything else that we do in the course. So do all of the work listed here is just as important as anything else you'll do in the course, if not more so. So again, if you have any questions or comments, post them below or email me. I am happy to help. I want this to work for you. I'll see you in the next lesson.